We are down to the final 4 match days of CAF World Cup qualifiers, where we could see a debutant inch closer to securing a World Cup spot. Can Bafana gain 2 key victories, or will the Super Eagles somehow salvage their some chances of qualifying? Can Otodo and Ghana continue their great performances and get closer to the World Cup? And a massive battle awaits in Kinshasa between DR Congo and Senegal. Welcome to the preview and prediction of the September window for CAF World Cup qualifiers. I cannot wait for it. This is going to be sensational stuff. This is the international break we wait for, people. Everybody wants to poo-poo the idea. A lot of content creators love to poo-poo the idea of international football. I love it. And I think you people love it as well watching this video. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Nigeria are going to pick up 2 victories and get closer to South Africa? What about Algeria? Are they going to get closer to the World Cup? Will Egypt qualify to the World Cup in this window? And can Cape Verde get closer to becoming a debutant at next year's World Cup? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here for a lot of CAF content. We're going to have a lot of videos after the window. We're going to have a lot of content heading into the AFCON. So if you love that sort of videos, this is the channel to be. But let's get into the preview and prediction of the September window. So here we are, people. Group A, and it's pretty much a done deal, barring a historic bottle job, I think, from Egypt, because Egypt should be comfortable here. They should be beating Ethiopia at home. That should be 3 points right there. Burkina Faso should be beating Djibouti because Djibouti are by far the worst team in this group. Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone is kind of like an interesting game. Both teams have to win it if they want to have any chance of finishing in the runners-up, even though it's very daunting right now to get into the top 4 of best runners-up to get into the playoff in the CAF region. So it's kind of like a must-win game, I would say, for both teams. That's why I'm going to go with Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, kind of being like a 2-2, very entertaining game. Burkina Faso will beat Djibouti like 3-4-0. Egypt will beat Ethiopia 3-4-0. Guinea-Bissau will beat Djibouti 3-0, 2-0. Sierra Leone, they will beat Ethiopia, I would say like 2-1. I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game between the both teams. But the game everybody's waiting for in this group is by far Burkina Faso taking on Egypt, because it's now the pressures on Burkina Faso, the Stallions. The Stallions cannot be ponies in this game. They must rise to the challenge because they had a very difficult start to these qualifiers. They didn't play well. They looked like a disorganized side, but recently you can see the form has returned to Burkina Faso, and they are a dangerous team on their day. We always seen it at the AFCON. When Burkina Faso play to the level of the opponent, they are an entertaining side to watch. When they play down to the opponent, like we saw earlier in this qualifiers against Sierra Leone at home, they're a horrendous team to watch. So with Ouattara, Bertrand Traoré, and a lot of good players that Burkina Faso have, they're in a must-win situation. I think for Egypt, if you get a draw, you'll take it, because we know going away to Burkina Faso, very difficult to get a result. So I think if Egypt can just get a draw here, maybe they're going to play for the draw. It depends on how Hassan Hassan really wants to approach the game. Yes, Egypt have the perfect sort of players to play on the counterattack. So I think Egypt might be a little bit hesitant in that game and just trying to go for the draw, even though if Egypt win that game, they already got their tickets booked for the World Cup next year. So very intriguing. And that's why I'm going to go with that game being a 1-1. I feel like Burkina Faso are going to take the lead in that game. Egypt will get the equalizer like in the 60th minute, and the last 30 minutes might be a little bit cagey. Maybe Burkina Faso kind of being on the ascendancy and trying to get the result, but I think it will end 1-1, and Egypt will be still fine qualifying to the World Cup. But maybe we'll get a shock here. If Burkina Faso win, then we get some drama heading into the final 2 match days. Now the madness begins, people. Group B, DR Congo, 13 points. Senegal, 12 points. Sudan, 12 points. It's between those 3 teams. Togo, South Sudan, really. The one team that's really been underperforming, I think, in these qualifiers is Mauritania, even though they didn't qualify for the AFCON either. But wow, the regression since the AFCON is crazy to see. Now, DR Congo, you have one job. You have to beat South Sudan. Just do it, okay? It might not have to be pretty. Just get the 1-0. You're fine there. Then Mauritania, Togo, not really anything to play for. Both teams have kind of been struggling. Togo are the draw merchants so far in these qualifiers. I would probably go with like a 1-1 in that game. Senegal, Sudan is tough to call, because we saw when Sudan hosted Senegal in Libya, Sudan were the better team. Sudan should have won that game. They had so many good chances, and how organized they are defensively, and when they counterattack, it was with such speed and such ferocity. It's so wonderful to see Sudan play football. But now it's going to be like, okay, you're going away to Senegal. And how do Senegal then approach this game at home? Because they got so many talented players. They got the perfect midfield. I just keep looking at their team and I'm like, okay, you got that result away to England. This should be the time now that Senegal, look at the talent they have. And Papetiao's like, we got to perform here. I think the pressure is really on Senegal in this game. I don't think Sudan have anything to lose. I think Sudan have been wonderful to watch so far in these qualifiers. They haven't lost a game. They qualified to the AFCON. I think Sudan are like, hey, pressure's on you guys. Let's see how you're going to handle the pressure, Senegal. So Senegal, they got to win this game because their next game is away to DR Congo. And we know Senegal away from home in these qualifiers have been nothing short of average, maybe even bad at times. This game's tough to call, and I don't think it's going to be a really pretty game to watch, and that's why I'm going to go 1-0 Senegal. I would love to see Sudan get a victory here. I would love to see Sudan get a draw here because then this group gets so interesting, and then the pressure on Senegal going away to Kinshasa and trying to get a result, they're under massive pressure here. So I think Senegal will rise to the challenge and just get a 1-0 win. I don't think it's going to be a great game, kind of similar to the game we saw in Libya between the two teams. I think it's going to end 1-0 Senegal. And yes, Sudan might take a little bit of a drop, but they could still have some hopes because the two teams, DR Congo and Senegal, will go up against each other on match day 8. And then DR Congo, Senegal. Now, this is the game I've really been waiting for because both teams are really good. We know DR Congo keep on rising and rising. They got a lot of good, young, talented players. Very organized team. Maybe going forward, they're really lacking sometimes. They're getting a lot of 1-0 victories. That's why they got 7 goals in 6 games in these qualifiers. So DR Congo just... how can they handle the pressure? Because they've always been, I feel like, in the 21st century, just bottlers. When it gets to that pressure moment, they just bottle it every single time. Because the job that Desabre has been doing so far with this national team since he's taken over has been nothing short of sensational. And hopefully it can continue for this national team. But this game, yes, it's two powerhouses of African football, but I don't think it's going to be a great game. I feel like it's going to be cagey. Both teams don't really want to win the game. Maybe there's a little bit more pressure on DR Congo because DR Congo will play Sudan still in these qualifiers. That's why I'm going to go with a 0-0. I hope it's 2-2, 3-3, and we have a great game to talk about after this window. But I feel like DR Congo, Senegal just got 0-0 written all over it because both teams don't really want to take a chance in losing that game. I'm going to go 0-0 in that game. Togo, Sudan. Now, I feel like this is the pressure game for Sudan. If Sudan really want to qualify for the World Cup after losing to Senegal on match day 7, they got to win this game. But Togo, a good team at home and draw merchants. So I feel like this game is going to be 1-1. And that kind of then deflates the opportunity for Sudan getting to the runners-up spot, at least in this group. And yeah, I'm going to go 1-1. Then Mauritania, South Sudan. Let's say 1-1 as well, or 2-1 for either team. It would be great to see South Sudan win a game in this group. But this group is going to be sensational. Maybe not the games, but the storylines that could come out after this window about this group, where it could be DR Congo getting closer to their World Cup, maybe Senegal regaining its form after that historic victory over England, or what about Sudan being a debutant to the World Cup? I mean, it would just be great storylines. I can't wait to see what you guys predict as well in the comments down below. And another great group, it is Group C, because it is all on the Super Eagles to get a result here. There is no doubt about it. There cannot be any more excuses for Eric Chile and the Super Eagles. You've had enough opportunities to get points in this group, and this group is not even that tough. Come on, man. Yes, you have Rwanda. You have obviously South Africa, who are a very good team, but the Super Eagles should be doing a lot better. 4 draws, 1 win, 1 loss. That just shows you where they're at right now. But let's talk about the games. I think every game in this group has been super competitive. There hasn't been an obliteration, I thought, so far in this group. Maybe South Africa against Lesotho at home, but that game until the 50th minute, 55th minute, Lesotho were still in the game. So every game is super competitive. Now, with Benin and Zimbabwe, Benin, a very good home side. Can they frustrate Zimbabwe? Because Zimbabwe away from home is still a competitive team. Look, they got 4 draws. So this group is just, every game is daunting, no matter the opponent. Yeah, you can look at Lesotho and say, they should be the whipping boys in this group. But even Lesotho are punching above their weight. And I feel like with Benin and Zimbabwe, this could be a great opportunity for Benin to just get closer and closer. If Benin pick up 2 victories in this window, they're in great position to get the runners-up spot, I think, in this group. So I'm going to go with Benin winning that game 2-1. I feel like they can get a result there. Lesotho, South Africa. Now, look, South Africa and Lesotho, there's that whole drama with the player situation. Maybe South Africa getting deducted points. That has not been confirmed. Nothing so far. I don't think there's going to be any deduction. So South Africa will keep the 3 points that they got over Lesotho. And now the neighbors will play against each other. And you expect here that Hugo Brous's side, they should get the job done here. With the way South Africa have been playing, I think, since the AFCON and during the AFCON as well, sensational side to watch. And they're just marching towards getting that World Cup berth once again. And I feel like they're going to win this game 2-0. Look, Lesotho, great story. But now I think they've kind of dwindled since the opening, first 3 match days in this group. And now Lesotho will regress to what they are. the punching boys in this group, and I think South Africa will win 3-0. And then, look, Nigeria and Rwanda. This is it for Eric Chalet and the team. I don't want to blame Eric Chalet either because I think he's done a decent job since he's taken over. But look at every manager that comes into this national team. They're going to underperform because the players now have to write. This is on the players solely right now. You have Osimhen. Obviously, Ademola Lookman with his situation club-wise, he hasn't trained, he hasn't played, so what's going to be his match fitness? Nigeria are a very good team on paper, but when you watch them play, it is so dire. It is so it's like the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. That's Nigeria. They're Game of Thrones FC at the moment. Now, they should be beating Rwanda at home, but look at the home results for Nigeria so far in these qualifiers. They just drew the Zimbabwe. They had the game completely in control, and they threw it away. They threw it away and dropped more points. So Nigeria, they can't afford to drop points here. If they drop points, any points in this window, I think their World Cup berth is done. Adios, and we're going to have a lot of discussions then about the Super Eagles, but I think they will beat Rwanda at home. Even though Rwanda, we saw the game away from home when Nigeria beat Rwanda. I mean, it was unbelievable, the football Eric Chalet had them playing. They look comfortable defensively, good going forward, easy victory. But you just cannot guarantee that right now with the Super Eagles. But for this game, I'm going to go Nigeria winning this game 2-1. It's a must here. I don't care. It's an absolute must right now for this side. Then Zimbabwe hosting Rwanda. This is where I look at Zimbabwe. I'm like, this should be a victory here. Yeah, Rwanda are a decent side, not a lot going forward, even though I'm going to still go with a draw. I'm going to go 1-1 in that matchup. And then the big game. Oh, boy, the rivals. South Africa hosting Nigeria in Bloemfontein. Wow, this is going to be a great game because the first game these two teams played against each other was kind of like dross. It was a little bit, nothing going crazy, 1-1 sort of game. It wasn't the most entertaining, but now with the pressure, I think, who's got more pressure in this game, people? South Africa or Nigeria? Because South Africa are at home. They're right now the leaders of this group. Do you put more pressure on South Africa or do you put more pressure on the Super Eagles? I think all the pressure is on the Super Eagles. Yeah, South Africa are the leaders of this group. They're looking at Nigeria and saying, catch up to us. Catch up to us. Look at the football we play. Look at how organized Hugo Bruce has this side where they can be defensively solid sometimes. And then the midfield they got with the attackers they got. I just love watching players like Modiba, Mokoena, these sort of guys. Like, it's just such good football, all technically gifted. And now it's like one team has an identity and the other team doesn't have an identity. So which one will prevail? You could say the more talented team on paper or the team that plays as a unit. That's why I feel like Nigeria are under more pressure. They're going to leave the game a little bit more open with Eric Chalet's tactics, even though how he will approach this game. They have to win this game. There's no doubt about it. So that might favor South Africa a little bit more. And I know either way, if I predict a winner, I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered in the comments because that's just the nature of this rivalry. But I'm going to go with the home side because I just see this team maturing. I see this team as a unit. I've seen them throughout these qualifiers at the AFCON. Yes, Nigeria, they made it to the AFCON final, but they didn't play the greatest football with Jose Pizarro. So I'm going to go with South Africa winning this game 2-1 and just absolutely putting the nail in the coffin of Nigeria's World Cup hopes. And I think with that game, South Africa will have qualified to the World Cup, which would be an historic achievement for Hugo Bruce and the side to qualify for the first World Cup since 2010. And yeah, I'm going to go with South Africa winning this game 2-1. We might do like an individual video preview for that game after I see the games on match day 7 to have more storylines and see how teams play. But as of right now, I'm going to go 2-1 for South Africa. And the last game then in this group is Benin hosting Lesotho. And like I said, I think this is going to be a great window for Benin, picking up 2 home victories and then having full control of that second place. I'm going 2-0 for Benin. But this Group C, unpredictable as it always has been. And the crazy groups just keep on coming with Group D, with Cape Verde on 13 points, Cameroon on 12 points, with Libya and Angola slipping away on match day 5 and 6. Now, Angola, Libya, this is a must win for Angola. I was really disappointed in them in the last window where they had the game under control against Cape Verde. They literally gave them 2 or 3 chances in the game, and Cape Verde capitalized on 2 of those chances and won the game. I think that game was like, that really dented the confidence of this Angolan team that have a lot of good players, but they just don't look like that same team from the AFCON. And yes, maybe let's see how they can bounce back against a very good Libyan side with Aliou Cisse as the manager. And that's why I'm going to look at that game and saying, okay, both teams got to win it. So are we going to get a really entertaining game? I think we could get an entertaining game. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Angola, just because they're the home side. We saw Libya go away from home against Cameroon. It wasn't the greatest performance from Aliou Cisse. Mauritius, Cape Verde. Mauritius, sometimes good and sometimes a little bit bad, but overall in this qualifiers, I've actually been super impressed by Mauritius because you would kind of expect them to be like at the level of Djibouti or Seychelles, but Mauritius have been actually a very good side in these qualifiers compared to the quality of the team. But they're hosting Cape Verde. Now, Cape Verde have the pressure now. Now, the Blue Sharks were the nice little story. They're like Finding Nemo, the great story. But now Cape Verde, everybody wants to hunt them down. So let's see how they can handle the pressure going away to Mauritius and then hosting the game at home against Cameroon. I got to go with Cape Verde win this game. I don't think it's going to be pretty because it's not always been the prettiest with Cape Verde during these qualifiers. I'm going to go 1-0. Yeah, just a simple 1-0 victory for them. And then Cameroon hosting Eswatini. Now, I remember the last time I talked about Cameroon going away to Eswatini, and they put up an absolute stink fest. I mean, I remember watching Balebo on that game. I'm like, this guy's supposed to be a 100 million euro footballer. Balebo was terrible. Now, Cameroon are hosting Eswatini. This better be 4-0. Better be 4. I dare Cameroon to drop points at home to Eswatini. I dare you. But it will not happen. They'll win that game 4-0. Libya hosting Eswatini. That should be 3-0. And then Cape Verde hosting Cameroon. Now, the only thing that's going against Cape Verde is Logan Costa's injury with the ACL. I think that's a massive miss defensively because he's such a good player. He's like the rock-solid leader that they needed Cape Verde. Yes, they have some decent players midfield-wise, and attacking-wise, they have so many options off the bench with obviously the experience of Ryan Mendes still. Cape Verde really needed a leader in defense, and they had that with Logan Costa. Who can replace that leadership? Who can replace that quality that he possesses for this national team? Cameroon has a lot more pressure winning this game because they're the team behind right now, Cape Verde, and Cape Verde are just the debutants. If they even get runners-up in this group and get to that 14 playoff, it's a great achievement for Cape Verde, whereas Cameroon, you're royalty. You are an historic team in CAF region. You have to do well. And let's see how these players can bounce back because a lot of them are doing well club-wise. You look at Mbeumo, you look at Balebo, fantastic club-wise. Okay, let's see for the national team. Let's see it. Mbeumo has done well at home in these qualifiers. Away from home, not so much. So you're expecting a big game from Mbeumo in this game against Cape Verde. Even though I don't think this is going to be a great game either because you just know that with so much pressure on this game, it's just the hesitancy from both sides could be felt during the match. And obviously, I'll be watching the game. I'm going to go with 1-1. That'll be a really good result for Cape Verde. As for Cameroon, all you can just do is win your remaining 2 games and hope Cape Verde slip up. And then Angola hosting Mauritius. Again, if Angola can just get 2 victories in this window, they might have a good chance of still getting second place in this group, but they have to win both home games. I'm going with Angola winning the home game against Mauritius 2-0. But this group, I wouldn't be surprised if Cape Verde drop points to Mauritius, Cameroon somehow dropping points to Eswatini, and then Libya and Angola getting back into this race for this group. So obviously with the Congo being suspended for these qualifiers, there's no game between Congo and Tanzania, and obviously then Morocco playing Niger, and you expect then Morocco just to absolutely win this game with huge confidence, and Morocco will get closer to the World Cup. I don't think I need to really go into in-depth analysis about this window for them because these qualifiers have been a cakewalk with the amount of talent they have, and I'm hoping like El Hanous, he's going to make the move to Stuttgart, which I think is brilliant. But one thing we need to see with this Moroccan national team is who's going to be the starting striker. Because you have Igmane going to Lille, doing really well there. You obviously have El Kabi and Naziri. You have so many options. So who will be the main guy up front for Morocco at the AFCON and heading into the World Cup? I think that's the biggest question mark for this team. Maybe you could talk about midfield-wise. Could there be a change with personnel? Maybe like somebody in for Amrabat, for example. But other than that, this team is pretty much picks itself. It's just down to who's going to play striker. But hosting Niger, it should be 3-0, 4-0 victory for them. It should be a comfortable victory there. And then Tanzania hosting Niger. If Tanzania want to have a chance, and we still don't know what's going to happen with the points from Congo and these sort of issues, I'm going to go with Tanzania winning that game 2-0 as well. Then Zambia versus Morocco. Now, this could be a good test for Morocco because Zambia are a very high-octane attacking team, defensively super naive. I think this is a good game for Morocco to really test themselves, and this could be a high-scoring affair where actually Morocco could concede goals to Zambia, but overall with the quality of Morocco, and they are still a good away side, even though majority of these games have been at home. Expecting Morocco to win this game like 2-1 or maybe a 3-2 sort of victory. I think this might be like the best game of the window in the CAF region. Oh boy, who's going to win that important game on match day 8 between Gabon and Ivory Coast? But before we get to that, Seychelles versus Gabon. I mean, Seychelles, Are they the worst team in these qualifiers, people? Minus 28 goal difference. What's going to be their goal difference at the end of these qualifiers? Like minus 35, minus 40? Oh, it's not going to be pretty, but Gabon will win that game like 2-0, 3-0. I feel like it's going to be a comfortable victory there. Kenya versus Gambia, a game that was super, super crazy the last time these two teams played against each other. Will that trend continue in this game? Probably, because Gambia have been, for me, with the talented team they have, another really disappointing side, because defensively they're just shambles. I mean, such shambolic defending from the side, but you look at them going forward with obviously Minte and those sort of players, you expect a little bit better from Gambia. This game, 2-2. Then Ivory Coast hosting Burundi. Now, Burundi have been an average team, I feel like, in these qualifiers. You know, sometimes very difficult to break down. Obviously, Ivory Coast are just the 1-0 merchants right now. They are not playing well. I have to be honest. Emerson Faye's team, for the talent they have on the side, defensively solid. I mean, there's nothing that can break down them except for New Zealand when they had them in the friendly. But going forward, it's like that's the issue right now for Ivory Coast. And midfield-wise, what did they do? So I think for this game, it's going to be another 1-0 for Ivory Coast. Just keep it low scoring, get the 3 points, and move on to the game against Gabon. Kenya hosting Seychelles, 5-0, 4-0 right there. Gambia hosting Burundi. Maybe Gambia are like the neutrals' favorite so far in these CAF World Cup qualifiers. I'll go 2-2 again. Every game might just be 2-2 with Gambia with the remaining games so far in these qualifiers. And then the big game is Gabon versus Ivory Coast. Now, Gabon have never qualified for the World Cup. This might be one of the biggest games in the national team's history. Obviously, they had that quarterfinal game at home. I think it was 2013 or 2015 AFCON. I can't remember the opponent exactly, but that was one of the biggest games they had in their history. For me, this is their second biggest ever. Hosting Ivory Coast with a chance to go into the lead in this group with 2 games remaining. This is everything for Gabon. This is everything for Aubameyang. This is everything for Congo in the midfield, who's a very good midfielder. When they need to attack, they attack with a lot of combination play. Defensively, they can be solid, even though they've conceded 6 goals so far in this qualifiers. But Gabon are just an interesting team. I'm more fascinated to see who dominates possession in this game. Is it going to be Gabon or is Ivory Coast going to take the ascendancy in this matchup? That's kind of where I'm looking at. And I feel like Ivory Coast, because they have the 1-point lead so far in this group with 2 games remaining, they might just say, hey, break us down. Break our low block down and let's see if you can score in this matchup. Whereas Gabon will be like, okay, we got to now take the game to the opponent against a very good defensive team, arguably the best defensive side right now in Africa. I feel like it's going to be tough for Gabon, and that's why, again, like with a lot of these big games in this window, I feel like it's going to be such a cagey affair. Teams don't really want to take a chance. I'm going to go 0-0. I feel like it's going to be a frustrating game for Gabon, and Ivory Coast will be like, hey, we just have to do our job and get a point here, and that's going to be like a downgrade on the neutral watching this game. I'm going to go 0-0, and Ivory Coast will still have the lead in this group. Are Algeria right now the best attacking team in Africa? What they have quality-wise? But when you see the combination play, when you see the play of Amoura, when you see a guy like Hadj Moussa, when you see a guy like Guri, like Algeria have so many options going forward. And still Mahrez at his age. Petkovic, I think the only problem he has is defensively, what do I do? Because midfield-wise and attacking-wise, Algeria are elite. And they're growing as a team. They're maturing as a side under Petkovic. And I think Petkovic is understanding, like, okay, I got to give freedom to these players. These players cannot play in the system. Don't make them system merchants. Allow them to express themselves, and you're going to see the best of Amoura, of Hadj Moussa. And now they're going to host Botswana. Obviously, the game away was super entertaining, even though some horrific goalkeeping from the Botswana goalkeeper. I feel like at home, Algeria are always going to be a very difficult side to play against, and that's why Algeria are going to win this game like 3-0, 3-1. Somalia, Guinea. Now, the Somalian goalkeeper last time, shout out to him, I cannot remember his name at the moment, had an unbelievable game against Guinea. Is he going to do the same thing again? Guinea cannot drop points. I mean, yes, Guinea alongside Mauritania and Gambia, compared to the talent they have on the team, super disappointing. I mean, the most fraudulent team so far in these qualifiers compared to what they did at the AFCON. Guinea have to win this game, and they must. So I'm going to go 2-0. If they drop points to Somalia again, I mean, kudos to Somalia if they do that one more time. And hopefully they can get a victory in this remaining qualifiers. It's going to be difficult, though. Then Uganda hosting Mozambique. I think for Uganda, because of going into the AFCON, I think it's really important to get like these victories against similar level opponents like a Mozambique. So if they can get a victory at home against Mozambique after what Mozambique performed away from home against Algeria, I think Uganda can really win this game. I'm going to go 2-1 Uganda. Good home side, away from home. They cannot just translate that sort of game. Mozambique hosting Botswana. This is where then you expect Mozambique to keep going with the second place in this group and Mozambique to win the game 2-0. Uganda hosting Somalia. I'm going to go with the 2-0 victory for Uganda in that game. Guinea versus Algeria. Now, I would say this would be a tough game for Algeria, but Algeria have managed games very well away from home in these qualifiers. So I expect, even though Guinea are still a tough opponent, with Guirassy, of course, who's the best striker right now for me in Africa, yeah, I would still go with Algeria winning the game 2-1, 3-1, because just Guinea are just not a team you can trust right now. They just haven't performed since the AFCON, and that's what's going against them at this moment in time. That's why I got Algeria winning the game 3-1. Tunisia, again, maybe like Ivory Coast, not going to be a pretty sight to watch, but they just get the job done, and you just have to respect it if you're neutral. Some people might say, oh, look at Tunisia, the most boring team in world football, but Tunisia are trying to get better attacking-wise, and they just called up a new player to the national team, gotta be from Braga. I've never seen him play, so I'm intrigued to see what he can bring to the national team. But Tunisia at home to Liberia. Guess what the scoreline is going to be, people? 1-0. Yes, you guessed it right. 1-0. Sao Tome and Principe against Equatorial Guinea should be an easy victory there for Equatorial Guinea, like 3-0, just to keep their slim chances of the second place alive in this group. Namibia, Malawi. Look, if you're Namibia, you haven't lost a game so far in these qualifiers. You've been a decent side, sometimes a little bit frustrating going forward attacking-wise, but you expect Namibia to win the game, even though Malawi could cause some trouble in that matchup, but I'm going to go with a very cagey 1-0 victory there. Then Equatorial Guinea hosting Tunisia. You expect here a very boring, cagey affair, and maybe Emilio Nsue is going to break the deadlock on Tunisia's defensive record so far in these qualifiers, and then Tunisia might get like a late equalizer in the game. Like Tunisia in the March window, just not a good team going forward, but they get the goal somehow. They just get it with just that one moment where they combine the play really well and it's good to watch, and then the rest of the game, nothing. But I feel like it's going to be 1-1 here. I feel like Tunisia are going to get a late equalizer and just keep the lead in this group. Malawi, Liberia, 2-2, maybe 2-1 that game. Both teams have to win that game just to keep their hopes alive with the second place. So I'm going to go with that game being 2-2. Yeah, Malawi, Liberia 2-2. Namibia hosting Sao Tome and Principe. Should be 3-0 there. So actually, Namibia are going to be in a really good position after this window to maybe be one of the best 4 runners-up and go to the playoff, which would be a sensational achievement from Namibia. But do I see them doing well and maybe qualifying to the intercontinental playoffs? Not so much, even though I've been really impressed by them since the AFCON. So shout out to Namibia and the work that they keep on doing for the national team. And then the final group, Group H, where Ghana had a phenomenal window in March. 2 convincing victories, 2 easy victories, nothing to really stress about. The first time you didn't really have to stress about the Ghanaian national team in years. And now they're going to play Chad away. Should be 3-0, 3-1. Chad are not a good team. Ghana, with the quality they have, and Otto Adoi making really good tactical decisions. I expect a 3-0 victory there. Madagascar hosting Central African Republic. You got to expect Madagascar to win that game. It's a must-win for Madagascar, so I'm going to go 2-0 there. Mali, Comoros. Now, Comoros didn't have the greatest window in March. They got absolutely outplayed by Mali in the first game, 3-0. They did nothing in the game. Mali were sensational that day, and Tom Seinfeld. And then they had a really nervy 1-0 victory over Chad. So are the wheels kind of falling off for Comoros in these qualifiers? Possibly, and I hope that doesn't happen because it would be another great story if they could get somewhere close to the World Cup, but they're going away to Mali. Mali, yes, there's no Yves Bissouma in the squad for this window, but I still expect what the quality they have to win this game, and it's a must-win for Mali. There is no excuses. After what they did in the March window, where they had a great victory over Comoros, they drop points again. Whenever you have just a little bit of hope for this national team, the LA Clippers of African football, they bottle it. I hope that doesn't happen because Tom Seinfeld is a good manager and they need some confidence heading into the AFCON, but they got to win this game against Comoros to give them any chance of finishing the runners-up in this group. So Mali, Comoros, this is not going to be the greatest game either. I'm going to go 1-0 Mali. Good defensive team. Just they're going to get that one goal somehow. Comoros then are in a little bit of a must-win situation going away to Central African Republic, which will not be easy, and that's why I'm going to go with a 2-1 Comoros, even though I'm not really confident in the pick, or maybe 1-0 Comoros because Central African Republic are not good defensively. Okay, let's go 2-1 Comoros. In that game, Madagascar hosting Chad. So this actually could be a really good window for Madagascar. I'm going to go 3-0 there. And then the big game is Ghana and Mali. And the final game I will be analyzing for this window, I feel like Ghana have no pressure. Strange enough. Yeah, maybe people would be shocked. Oh, Michael, you're always hating on Ghana, especially with your video about them missing the AFCON. Yes, during that time, it was right to really criticize the Ghanaian national team. Now, I was very positive about them after the March window. I was really positive about Otto Doi and the way he approached the game. And I feel like there's now a little bit of positivity. There's a bit more continuity with this national team. And I feel like there's a little bit more trust with Otto Doi. Not fully trusting him where you could marry the guy and saying, hey, I can be with you for the rest of my life. No, you're not at that point yet. You're still at the dating process. And Otto Doi, he did well in March. Got to continue it. You have to do well in this window. You're going away to Chad. Again, you need to have a good attacking plan there. And then you're hosting Mali, where you got to be defensively solid. And the counterattack with Semenyo, Ayu, and obviously Kudus. I feel like this is going to be a good game for Ghana. And the pressure's on Mali. Mali have to win this game. These guys have bottled so many opportunities in these qualifiers that they're under pressure to perform. I think that's going to play into the hands of Ghana here. And I think after this window, Ghana are going to qualify for the World Cup again. The second time in a row, and I feel like they're going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring, so I'm going to go 1-0, 2-0 sort of victory here for Ghana because Mali don't really have a lot of attacking prowess. So yeah, I'm going to go with Ghana winning this game 2-0, and they get closer to the World Cup, and it's going to be a really good achievement for Otto Doi and some confidence back into this national team. There we have it, people. The preview and predictions for the September window in CAF World Cup qualifiers. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Who will get 6 points? Who will be the fraud? Who will be the surprise team in this window? And remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here for lots of CAF content because we'll be analyzing the games after the window. We'll be talking about teams that directly qualified to the World Cup, maybe from this window. We're going to have a lot of content for the AFCON. If you love CAF football, this is the channel to be. Remember to hit the like button and follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, join the Discord, all those links, description down below. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.